Life can change so quickly when diagnosed with a chronic illness. Things we once held tightly to, like our jobs, hobbies, abilities, family, and friends, can disappear in the blink of an eye. We can find ourselves lost and isolated from the world around us. Today's podcast guest, Julie, tells us how she channeled her own struggles, fear, and uncertainty into her TikTok videos and created a safe space and community for others who were struggling with chronic illness. What started out as a wobbly dance turned into 41,000 engaged followers and a whole world of purpose. Join me as we get social with Julie. Hello, MS Gym family. So glad you could join me for another podcast today. Today, I am really excited because this is actually an interview with one of my newest friends on TikTok that I have got to know a little bit better over the last maybe like 6 or 7 months. And I actually saw her speak at the So This Is MS conference in Toronto just a few short months ago. So I'm so excited to learn more about Julie, and I'm so excited to have you hear more about her story. So Julie, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right. So Julie, you are a fellow Canadian and you live quite a few hours from me, but you're still in the same province though too.
Yes, I'm pretty far north, Timmins, Ontario.
And of course, everyone will say that's the home of Shania Twain, which you're so
Yeah.
sick of hearing.
Yes, I hear that a lot.
So Julie, when were you diagnosed and what were kind of the starting symptoms that kind of said something's not quite right here?
I got my official diagnosis in January 2014, but the symptoms that led me to the emerge happened November 2013, right before my youngest's first birthday. I woke up with left-sided weakness.
Mhm.
And and then I thought to myself, okay, this can't be good. And I went to the emerge. I was experiencing numbness, weakness, tingling. So I went to the emerge. And that's when the doctor looked at me. And I think they had put a heated blanket on me, a warm blanket. And I remember telling them, like, whoa, my symptoms are getting worse, like the numbness, the tingling, it's so much worse. And doctor looked at me and said that he was going to send me for a brain MRI. And then I was left with that. And I had to wait for that call.
Okay, so that's really tough, obviously having all these symptoms. And you said before your youngest turned 1, so much stress going on in your life, and you want to care for this little one, and you have one. How old is your older son then at that point?
He had just turned 3. My oldest, his birthday is November 4th, and then my youngest was November 28th. Everything happened in the month of November. I got married, my kid's birth, my mom passed away in November.
Oh. That's a lot of stuff going on in your life for sure. It could definitely the stress from all of that could definitely affect. So you had, how long was it kind of between you went to emerge, you had all these symptoms, they said they're going to order the MRI. How long was it by the time you got the MRI, saw the neurologist?
So I think the MRI was maybe a day or two later where I got the call and went for the brain MRI. And then it took another about week before my doctor got the results. But of course, I had took to Google before seeing my doctor, and I self-diagnosed, and I knew it was MS before seeing my doctor. So a week after, I saw my doctor, and that's when he mentioned, it looked like MS, and that he was referring me to a neurologist.
That's big news. That's big diagnosis. That's very heavy. How
Yes.
did you cope initially with that?
I was terrified. I knew nothing of MS. And like I said, I took to Google, and Google's not always kind. I had came across a few stories on Google, Montel. We all know Montel,
Yeah.
but I was like, he's doing great.
Yeah.
And by the time I got my diagnosis, or by the time MS came into my life, like my walking was already affected. So I was like, I'm not like Montel. And then I came across Annette Funicello, and I was like, shit.
It's
I
okay.
related to Annette, and I got scared and I cried. And yeah, I had no idea what my future looked like.
Absolutely. And I have a feeling that it was the same, maybe the same documentary that I saw too. And it certainly portrayed kind of the worst case scenario of MS. That would be overwhelming. Newly diagnosed. So this was 2014. So this is like almost 10 years ago. So you were just 30, like a
Yes.
few young kids under 3. That's
Yes.
that is a lot. Now, did your neurologist, did you talk about medication or lifestyle or diet?
Oh, yes. My first appointment with a neurologist, she offered to show me the brain MRI, but I wasn't ready to face that. So I never looked at my brain MRI. I never really asked questions. She just looked at me. She looked at the stuff and told me textbook MS, and then gave me a list of meds to choose from, and I was sent home.
Wow, that's quite a bit, and to be given that list. And obviously 10 years ago there weren't as many options as there are now, but that's a lot to try to figure out in such
Yes.
a short period of time. So
Yes.
which one did you end up starting with then? What
Uh,
did you choose?
Tech Federa. I think it was newer 10 years ago. It
Okay.
had just came out. And yeah, I started with tech. And then there was a PML case that came out, and I was terrified of
Mm.
PML. So I was like, no, I can't do tech. I got to stop doing tech. And I think I lasted maybe 6 months on it. And then I went to Copaxone.
Okay. And how did daily injections go for you?
Not good. I kept getting the immediate post injection reaction. Again, maybe lasted 9 months on that one. Then I went to Obagio, and that one too, side effects. I had gut issues, and then Mavenclad.
So that's a lot of different treatments in a short time. And I think when we get diagnosed, we just want stability with our MS, right? And then having all these complications to the meds, it feels awful because you just want normalcy.
And being told, oh, you have a new lesion. Oh, this. So, the meds weren't doing what they were supposed to do. So yeah, it is a lot to take in.
For sure. Did you yourself, you said new lesions, but did you notice any symptom relief? Like you said initially your walking was kind of in problem.
Yeah, I started with the left-sided weakness. I did regain strength in my hand, and but that's about it. Like it plateaued. It didn't, it just stayed the same. Nothing, just the hand weakness got better, but that was it.
2013, 2014, young mom. What was life before your kids? Were you working? Were you in school, or what was going on, like secondary education?
I was actually working for a husband and wife. They had a bookkeeping business, and the wife did bookkeeping. The husband did personal income tax, and they were actually like teaching me the ropes. And I really enjoyed accounting and was thinking about going to school and getting a degree in accounting. But then I fell pregnant.
And then
Okay.
MS hit. Yes. So how did your family, like obviously young mom, how did your parents, your spouse, like all of these, your kids, like obviously they were too young at that point to fully understand what's going on. Maybe they realize that mom's more tired or she's struggling a bit more, but how did the rest of your family or close friends respond?
Yeah, my kids were too young. My husband, I think he's still in denial. And my parents are both passed. I think my family pretty much stayed kind of in denial. Like it didn't, because I continued living, I continued doing what I had to do. Like they see me struggle. My kids now are my youngest is now kind of grieving, and just a couple days ago he realized how many limitations and challenges I have, and he actually started crying.
Mm.
That broke my heart. So he felt bad, and yeah, so that one was hard.
So, Julie, I know that we live in the same province, but I had never heard of you until I came on TikTok in January, and I started like your posts started coming up, and I thought, who is this woman? And like you were like TikTok famous. Like I was just looking at your profile. You have 41,000 followers now. And like you are so well loved on TikTok. Like all ages, like all your followers are all ages. And you're kind of like the fashionista with these crazy dance moves, and these you like throw the cane up in the air and you magically catch it, and you are known as a true fashionista because you are always like decked out. How did you get on TikTok? Like how did it
Ah,
come about for you?
my niece, she's my niece, but she's close in age. She's only like 60 years younger than me. And I don't know, she just kept telling me how I should join TikTok. And I was like, no, that's for kids. I'm not joining TikTok. And then my husband kept watching TikTok. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to join TikTok. And yeah, I just joined TikTok and I did my first TikTok, and it kind of, I got a lot of views. I think the first one was like 10,000 views. And I was like, oh, and it became like a challenge. And I was like, oh, let's see how many views I can get on this one. TikTok is, it's given me a purpose.
I can see that it kind of gives you motivation, and I'm sure it's nice that on the really tough days you can be real, because that's what you are. You're genuine and you're real. And you when it sucks, and you say it to your followers and they pour love on you.
Yes, yes, exactly. Just today, I took to a live to do, to vent a little bit, because sometimes I stop myself to show, showing that hard side of MS, because I don't want people to see me as, a downer, because I had some followers be upset with me because I came out and said, I was secondary progressive with no activity, and how I'm no longer a candidate for treatment. And some people saw that as being negative and being so. I sometimes struggle with showing the struggles, because I don't want people to see me as a downer. But it is good. Like I said, today I did a live, and I was like, you know what, I need to vent. I do need to vent. And I know these people will understand, and
Mhm.
they are, compassionate, and they get me. I need to
Mhm.
take advantage of that.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like with 41,000 followers, you have all like obviously some people without MS and some people without chronic illness. They just think you're pretty cool that they want to be your follower anyway. But there's all varied levels of MS, right? Some people might be newly diagnosed and have no symptoms, or could be 40 years in and have no, like minimal symptoms. And then there's others that are advanced in the disease. So it's important to be real about it.
I agree.
So I was mentioning before about how you spoke in person at the So This Is MS conference in Toronto as one of the panelists. How did that come about? Like, did they just like contact? They're like, oh, this woman is awesome and she's got 41,000 followers. Let's see if she'll come to Toronto.
Yeah, they contacted me via TikTok, and because this, was geared to about, social media and how a helpful tool for some us people dealing with chronic illness and MS. They yeah, came across my TikTok, seen that I had 40,000 followers. They're like, we have nobody on doing TikTok, like you'd be the first, because there was a lot of everybody else was on Instagram, so they had nobody for that platform, so they asked me.
And you did a great job. I think it was the first of its kind. So there's a lot of things that they were still trying to get things figured out. But I enjoyed the conference a lot. But I know that your day was ridiculously long.
Yeah, well, it was a, fly in. It wasn't too bad though. I guess adrenaline had kicked in, because
Mm.
I was shocked that I was able to do it, and fatigue hadn't hit me. But yeah, it was a fly in, and then I flew back out. I enjoyed it. I'm happy I took part. Again, I'm such an introvert. I hate public speaking publicly. But I am glad I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and did this.
It's so funny to hear you say you're an introvert because you are like dancing around. You got like your latest fashion outfit on and stuff. Like it's you seem like a total extrovert, so confident in yourself. Where do you get the idea for the post? Like, is it just what's trending? Like so many times you spend time like lip syncing or doing different dances. Like what's your motivation to that? Or
Um, well, I sometimes do the trends, if there's dances going on. But most of the time, it's just my challenges that I faced or came across living with MS. I've done, a lot of posts on that. And then yeah, just trends. But of course the dances are my kind of dances. They're not quite the trend, but I try my best.
and you do a good job and your followers like it. You're big into exercise and you post all the time about going to the gym, and obviously it's, as MS changes, things sometimes get harder. Has exercise been part of your life even before diagnosis?
Yes, I always loved working out. I was, loved the gym. And I still do like that. I feel so good after leaving the gym.
Mm.
It with MS, yes, things have changed. I struggle working out my legs. But it still makes me feel amazing when I leave the gym.
So is your gym facility close enough for you to get to easily?
My mother-in-law actually brings me to the gym, so we kind of go to the gym together. So it kind of, it's bringing us closer. But yeah, no, my mother-in-law kept asking me, and at first I was like, as a disabled person, and then we got Planet Fitness, which is, known to be accessible, and I was like, oh, she kept asking me, and I was like, okay, I'll do it, and I'm glad I did it.
How do people respond to you in the gym? Obviously, you're there in your walk with your walker. Do you get any feedback one way or the other?
Yeah, some people like, I don't live, we live in a small town, but no, some people say like, oh, you're an inspiration. Seeing you at the gym, like I don't have I shouldn't have an excuse to not be here. But yeah, no, I have people kind of ask me, like a lot of people assume that it's an injury, but no, people are kind.
How do you deal with that though? Like I'm just learning about ableism, and there's a lot of people that say ableist things and they don't necessarily intentionally do it, but like it's so aggravating now when people say, oh, you're such an inspiration. It's just like it feels awful to hear that, even though their motive is good. It's patronizing.
Yes, I agree. I just usually just smile. I don't really keep the conversation going because I don't really want to get into my story most of the time. Yeah, like you said, people mean well, and I usually just smile and just go about my day.
So family, the gym, TikTok. Do you have any other passions, hobbies that you like or that you would like to take up, or things that you want to do in your nearer future?
Well, summer we do camping as a family. Yeah, I like the gym. I love shopping. So I do, some shopping online. And then winter months, like my husband is pretty active. He we do skidoing. He wants to do ice fishing this winter, so I'm gonna try to do some ice fishing. Hope I can get do it, but oh, I try to stay active with my family.
What do you do? Like I'm assuming like you shared about going on your live today when you kind of needed to vent, or like what
Yes.
other things do you do on the really tough days? Like obviously TikTok is an outlet for you. Do you have other practices that you do to help when things get really tough or overwhelming?
I usually blast some music and I cry.
Hmm.
No, I just keep to myself, yeah, and I just cry alone, especially, once the kids are gone, the husband's gone, everybody's gone, it's time to, let the tears flow.
Yeah. That's, I think we all can feel that very much. And I've heard many people say they get in the shower and they do an ugly cry, because that's sometimes what it is. And the thing is that as much as, our spouses or families love and support us, they don't get what it's like to be in the bodies that we're in, and to face the struggles all of the time. Like, I don't know if I'm assuming it's similar to myself. Like, at this point, you can't escape the fact, when you're diagnosed, you could forget that MS was in your life, but now it's always there. Like, you can't shake it off.
No, no, it's affected, every aspect of my life, everything. Walking is a struggle. Just, yeah, no, there's no escaping it.
What would you say to someone that's newly diagnosed, or someone, I'm sure you get comments on your posts and they say, "Oh, I was just diagnosed." Like, what advice?
The only advice I would say is that MS is so unique to everyone. Like, there's no two MSers that are the same, because I remember when I was first diagnosed, so many people told me, "Oh, don't worry. You'll be fine. You'll be fine." And when I started Googling and I started relating to the more progressive MS, I was like, I don't think I'll be fine. And that's when I realized MS affected everybody so differently.
Yeah.
So to the newly diagnosed, is everybody is different.
What would you want your followers on TikTok or different social media platforms? What would you want them to know? Like I said, they already know that you're like a fashionista and you can dance and you can boogie. But what's your heart like on those tough days, or when you see other people struggling, or just like, what would you want to yell at the top of your lungs, whether positive or negative?
That this life is hard.
Mm.
It's hard to keep that smile every single day. I want people to realize how strong we are, because it's just
Absolutely.
not easy. It really isn't.
Absolutely. It's interesting what you say. We don't want people saying, "Oh, you're such an inspiration because you got dressed today or you had a shower today." But there's something about it when activities of daily living are such a struggle, and that you're exhausted for things that a healthy, a mobile person can do. Like, there's like this balance, like, acknowledge that I'm struggling, but don't make me your inspiration. If you could have your wish, what would it be that you could do?
I just want to live life to the fullest. So, of course, I want to experience. I've never traveled. So now I really want to travel, and I want to apply for my passports and start doing that. Even my oldest asked, "Oh, it'd be fun if we go to New York." And
Hmm.
so right now, I would love to get some traveling. I want to experience traveling before my MS makes it even harder.
That's understandable. I will say it, and I'll try not to be an ableist as it sounds. There are so many people on TikTok with all sorts of disabilities that do amazing things. Even Ardra, like, I follow Ardra. She's in like New York. She was just in like Prague or something. Like, she's she's amazing. And I think it's great to have examples like that of people not denying that there's a struggle, and not saying that there's not accommodations needed, but they're getting their butt out there and they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly what I want to do is, as much as MS makes it hard, I want to continue enjoying life. And yeah, I know of Ardra. I follow her as well. And yeah, there's a few people that have been, an inspiration, seeing, how MS hasn't stopped them.
Any parting words, anything you'd like to send off to your followers, or to your future followers?
Oh, that, I just appreciate the, TikTok community. I appreciate, yeah, it's just the social media. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that we have that. I
Mhm.
can't imagine not having that outlet, because these people get me. They understand. They keep me going. They push me, and yeah, I just love my community.
All right, Julie, I'm sure I'll be seeing you around on TikTok sometime
Yeah.
soon. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You may not be much of a dancer yourself, but I implore you to follow Julie on TikTok to see her bust out her MS groove. Check out the show notes to find out how.